Sam Hyde. I watched Sam Hyde and iDubbbz. I mean, we all did. And I put myself in the shoes of iDubbbz. I really felt for him. And he explained it on his side. He's like, I feel like I could have hit him more. But had I, it would have given him permission to hit me. So he didn't want any part of that. And I'm like, dude, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
If you guys have never done any boxing training, and it sounds like Harley has, a lot of times you don't do headshots all the time. If you spend all your time doing headshots, you'll get brain damage. So, you may be punching like the shoulders or the collarbone or the chest or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had headshot day. It was Friday. So I at one point, Santa Hyde is like, all right, headshots now. And iDubbbz like, he doesn't want that smoke. I don't want that smoke either. If Sam Hyde says headshots now, I say, man,
he still punched him hard. Sam still punched him hard at one point. I saw a punch and I was like, oh.
He popped him in the he did the thing where iDubbbz was kind of towards the end of the little session going like that, joking around, and right at the end, Sam just goes, whoo, he just it pops him in the body pretty good, and then iDubbbz was like, oh,
that whole thing. I sat down and I was with friends and we watched both of them. I watched both sides of the video, and what was so compelling to me, watching iDubbbz, someone that I've met before, and watching Sam Hyde, someone that I didn't think I would ever really meet anytime soon anyways, was what was so compelling about that is, and I kind of had a different take. I actually watched you guys talk about it. And I had a different take in my mind, is that it was like I was trying to break it down. These are guys that Sam, you would said Sam alpha'd him, which is true in the traditional sense, but iDubbbz is slippery is a bad word for it, but he doesn't care about being alpha'd, and that makes it the most alpha in a sense. And I thought the only time where there was a big sway in the only time where we got real Sam, from what I understand, someone who doesn't know Sam Hyde, was when iDubbbz was like, do you remember the email you sent me?
Oh, yeah.
And Sam was like, no. I paused that part and brought that back 10 times. I'm like, he knows that email.
You think
we got a real, I thought we got a real, he knows that he sent an email, and just the way he sounded saying no to iDubbbz, I was like, these are two guys that are they're both situation, if Sam came in here and Sam was here, imagine me trying to speak normally and have this conversation if he's right there. He's a guy that he would he's controls the situation. And then imagine if it's iDubbbz, they're it's almost the same world, different end of the spectrum, because I always found that iDubbbz was when I met him, he's a guy that you're what's he thinking? If you think of them as anime characters, one is the obvious, huge, I don't know if any of you watched Bleach, but maybe people listening do, Zaraki Kenpachi. He's a huge dude. He put bells on his hair so that when he attacks you, you hear him coming. So it's harder for him. He's making it harder on himself to fight you because he wants more of a challenge. Whereas iDubbbz is like a Quincy. They would form weapons using their brains. And by using their brains, that weapon will pierce directly through you instead of being a huge dominating strength force. It's a different type of power. So watching the two documentaries, watching the power struggles in the room was so much content for me, because those guys never got comfortable with each other. They never trusted each other. They never got comfortable with each other. And I just sat there and I was like, oh my God. I was like, what would I do if I had to be with Sam Hyde for a week? And then I was like, what would I do if I had to be with iDubbbz for a week? You'd say something like iDubbbz being like, yeah, I just ate. I just had some eggs. And he'd be like, oh, and you're like, what? Was something wrong with that? It's stupid, eh? You think that's stupid? You don't. You think it's stupid that I asked you. Never mind. I shouldn't have. Would you say nothing? Oh, okay. And it's a little less obvious thing. But when I was watching it, and maybe because I was super high, which I don't get high anymore. But I was watching it and I was like, this is like hard to watch. It's like, it was hard for me. And if I just watched and I was like, oh, Sam's alphaing him, it's like simple. But if you just imagine that, like, Sam was like kind of like worried when iDubbbz was coming. He was like, what's he going to do? And then to think of a guy like Sam being insecure is so outlandish. But like, he was a little insecure. He's like, is iDubbbz coming here? What's he going to even film? What's he going to say? And then even waiting and waiting for he couldn't wait for that video to come out. He's like, let's just put ours out because I got to get it out there. And like, I just felt that they were it was such like a crazy thing. Like, I literally wrote iDubbbz like a million messages about it. I wrote Sam a bunch also. I was just like, those videos were so crazy to watch. I've literally watched them both back to back many times because it was fascinating. I've been in the same room as iDubbbz. And going into the same room of as Sam, like in both senses, I was like, I'm not a guy that gets nervous, like meeting people. Both of those people make me nervous to meet them. I met Ian and like, I'm meeting Sam. At least with Sam, I go under the guise of like, I'm a pupil. So if he's like, shut the fuck up and listen, there's no part of me that has to be like, you don't talk to me like that. I'm lucky that he's taking the time to say, shut the fuck up and listen. He's going to tell me what's up. So I'm going to try and take the most out of it. You know what I mean?
It's a good attitude.
But Taylor, anyways, yeah.
Do you remember this section well enough to recap it? There's a part in the iDubbbz video where he explains Sam Hyde. And even though I can't remember
10 on 10. I know.
Meant a lot to me. Okay. Yeah. And he's like, there's this spectrum of I'm saying what I mean, I'm not saying what I mean. And then plausibly, I can't tell. What was the example he used? Was it something about
post satire? Oh yeah. The
something
eating
like
poop
that.
thing. He's like, I like eating poop.
Right.
I like eating poop.
Yeah.
No, I do. I actually do like eating poop. And it's like, okay, it's the joke, but it's like a joke of a joke of a joke. And he's always living there. And actually, when I told people to watch iDubbbz video, I actually say, like, if you're not going to make it through, go watch that part. Cause like he was like, he did a really excellent breakdown. Cause I've never been able to, I've never met someone like Sam Hyde, but I know people kind of like that. And they are difficult to assess. You don't know where you stand. You know what I mean? But I'm not like iDubbbz. I would take the bait. I'd be like, you like eating poop? What? Like, should I try it?
That's how you're going to win your match, man.
Like, I would bait into that. Whereas someone like iDubbbz, just like, like he let a lot of things happen where I was like, oh, I would have taken that bait. Even when the guys were like, yeah, I got crypto. I thought Cardano was, I saw that and I was like, oh, I would have jumped in that conversation. I was like, well, so what are you guys thinking? Now I'm the joke because they're making a whole caricature joke, but like I was kind of into that. So I was like, oh, what? And then I'm like, oh, your whole thing was a joke. Oh, I actually was that person. You were making fun of me.
Yeah.
I would have been made fun of.
You're like accidentally sincere when he's punking you. And then you're like, oh, God damn it.
Exactly.
Like I thought all the time. I was trying to be amicable, but I was looking like a jackass, about
I'm a people pleaser. Neither of those guys are people pleasers. I see like someone like if we're at like a gathering and there's someone on the side, I'm like, oh, I'd go up to that guy, I'd be like, yo, what's your deal? Come, like, I'm a person that would do that. iDubbbz doesn't look like he cares to make anyone happy. Sam Hyde obviously looks like he doesn't care to make anyone happy. You know what I mean? And me being someone that is like not like that at all. Like if I see some guy like sipping lean, he's like, I don't know what crypto to buy. I'd be like, well, let's talk about it, buddy. And he's like, you want to talk about it? You fucking idiot. Like I would have got like 50 million times when I saw that.
Oh yeah. I mean, you could see even iDubbbz, who's very, very astute with that kind of stuff. I would assume like he got by the entire thing. Like the whole like
that's not the girlfriend thing.
That's
the girlfriend thing. That's next level. That's the thing where I'm like, should I be here encouraging this now? Like that girl, like that's like the stuff. iDubbbz got the exact nightmare that most people think of like if you were going to go film with Sam Hyde for a couple days, the last thing you want him to do is plan with all of his friends to like have dead bees around and a fake girlfriend. That's the nightmare scenario. And like iDubbbz, they're like shooting guns with them, and I was like, damn, like like
iDubbbz didn't got by the whole thing though. Like the slingshot, for example. they got him 0% on that. He was obviously a setup. The whole you're thinking Lamborghini, it's really Ferrari. He's just smiling along, doing what Harley said, which is not attempting to out alpha the alpha. Just like, all right, is that what you want to do? Fine, I'm here for it. Like, he didn't care. He didn't feel any need to impress him with his
the girlfriend thing's hilarious.
The girlfriend thing is more what I was referring to. It was like the beginning to the end, like wrap up little storyline there.
Yeah,
which was so funny. But I didn't pick up on the same thing as you, Harley. I just missed it. Like, I didn't know. I couldn't tell whether or not Sam actually remembered sending that email to iDubbbz or not. And maybe that's another example of what you're talking about, where it's very difficult to discern his true thoughts, because he's a guy who his whole bread and butter, he works in satire. Like if he unironically came out and gave like a speech or something, people will be like, what the fuck? Like, is this a joke? Like, this has to be like. So I get why he does it that way, and it adds a lot more funny. You know, I lean more his side over iDubbbz because I'm been a huge fan of Sam's for many years, and I don't really watch iDubbbz content. Although I remember Content Cop was a very funny series.
First time I ever saw iDubbbz, my dad sent me like a time-stamped YouTube video saying ha 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 ha, and I click it, and it's iDubbbz in his food commentator Content Cop video, and it's him sitting in like the front seat of a car, and he's eating a burger, and he's like, "Oh, I'm Harley Quinn from Epic Mealtime. I wear flannel and eat bacon. Oh, nom nom. I'm fucking gay." And my dad sent me that, cracking up, being like, "Ha ha ha!" I saw that. I'm like, "Who is this?" Instant fan. I was an instant fan. I thought that was so funny. Being like, "I'm Harley from Epic Mealtime. I wear plaid. I'm fucking gay." And I thought that was so funny. And then I went and I watched Content Cop, and I was like, "Oh." I always wondered, and I did always wonder, because like I made Content Cops like in my head. I literally used to like watch some YouTubers. Like I would watch prank YouTubers, and I'd be like, why doesn't someone make a video saying that this is terrible shit content? Mm-hmm. Why doesn't someone do that? And then when iDubbbz did it, I was like, oh my God, a smart, funny guy using his powers like for evil. But not really. He's like shining a light on something. I'm like, this is the guy. Like at the time, I remember being like, this is the YouTuber we need right now. This is exactly it. Some content needed to be policed, and I really think that's it. I'm gonna give you a little inside info. I saw iDubbbz at a YouTube party. It followed up on a really funny thing. I was in LA, and I messaged iDubbbz. I said, "Hey, I heard you're in LA. Do you want to be on Epic Mealtime?" And he wrote back, "No." And that was it. And I was like, okay, cool. Most people are like, I'd love to, whatever. He was just like, no. And I did respect that. I was like, okay, cool. But then I ended up running into him at a YouTube party. And I was like, I sat down with him. I'm like, I know this is so annoying because I hate when people sit next to me. And mostly I hate it. It's usually bad ideas. They used to sit next to me and they'd be like, yo, you should make spaghetti. Epic spaghetti. And I'm like, thanks, man. Cool. And they're like, yeah, it's spaghetti, but you put bacon in it. You know, I'm like, I know how it goes. Okay, thank you.
Isn't it like a carbonara or something like that?
What's that? Yeah, it is exactly, but it's not even a good idea. So I sat down next to iDubbbz, and I was going to give him a bad idea for Content Cop, and I was like, "Okay, rice gum." Now he was probably going to do it already. But I was like, I have literally like 800 words written about rice gum. I would never do a Content Cop, but I did used to write Content Cops, and I keep using Content Cop just because it's like a brand we understand, like a takedown of someone's content and stuff. I used to sit there and write it. Like I wrote like a whole like inside my head mental Content Cop on like Fousey. I wrote like a whole inside my head Content Cop on rice gum. You know, I wrote a whole one on Jake Paul. They were just things that I wrote because I found it funny. I would watch these videos all the time I get high, and I would just write notes. So, and iDubbbz was like, interesting. And I was like, would you ever think about doing race gum? He's like, yeah, I did think about race gum. I was like, did you know that he asked a girl who was sexually assaulted, how did it feel? And he was like, no, he didn't. And I was like, he did. I was like, I have a whole document here. Feel free to use whatever you want. I'm like, can I send it to you? He's like, yes. I'm like, okay, maybe some of my work will be there. And I'm not taking any credit. His video was so crazy with Asian Jake Paul, and he had PewDiePie in it. I thought it was so next level. I thought it was a great, but did it feel good though was really featured intensely in that. And I do remember sharing that with him because like I had just gone and done my own homework. As like I would have never done that type of video, but I was just happy that it existed. And yeah, that whole Rice Gum scene was terrible. And I wish iDubbbz was boxing Rice Gum, actually. I really wish. You know, Dr. Mike's an actual boxer, and he wanted to box Rice Gum instead. And Rice Gum ducked him. Rice Gum called him school shooter, which is like, it's just like a nothing, just whatever comment, but it is pretty funny to call him school shooter. He was like, oh, I heard school shooter made a video about me. But it's like, you can't keep talking shit. He's ready to get in the ring with you. He's ready to do the thing, you know?
One of the things I like about iDubbbz, as far as
getting in the ring is everything to me.
Yeah. I think
when I watched all these YouTube...
I was gonna say that iDubbbz has never picked on the strong, and that's what I like. If a guy goes after the weak, Leafy, for example, he used to pick on like 12-year-olds making their own music videos. Just there were no one. They're cringy, but leave them alone. They're kids. iDubbbz, on the other hand, he's going after millionaires who are killing it, and maybe could use a knock or peg or knock him down a peg.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt also. Because
what, Kyle?
I said, don't peg him.
Yeah, I did say that, didn't I? Well, maybe they could use a pegging as well.
Okay, well,
yeah.
To each his own.
I know what I said.